Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, our second one in our Microsoft Copilot series with Fely Garcia-Lopez. So we're happy you're joining us again this week, and we have one more to go next week, so lots of information to learn. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Fely so she can get started and maximize our time. Thank you, Fely, for being here.
Oh, thank you, Debbie, and thank you to the team for the invite. I'm very excited to be here. So let's start. I think the screen is available already, right? See, I'm using my husband's equipment, so I'm a little bit lost. My apologies for that, but you're able to see my screen. See,
Yes, we are.
thank you. So excited for what everything that is happening in education, everything that has been announced right now with artificial intelligence, but very excited to be here with you all. So again, my information is on the screen. As you know, anything I can help you with, por favor, estoy aquí para servirles. And last 2 weeks ago, because we did not meet last week, as we were at the Region 1 Technology Conference, amazing event for our educators. But the week before we met, our first session, we shared this flip group. So if this is your first session, if for whatever reason you were not able to attend our first session, during this session we talk about the introduction. We basically activated background knowledge about AI, what we've heard about AI, what we know about AI, and what we want to know about AI. And I also shared this flip group with you all. So I want to share it again, just in case we have new people to our session today. Everything that I am talking about and everything that I talked about the 2 weeks ago, and everything that I will be talking about next week will be added to this flip topic. So all of the resources will be available for you right here. Thank you, Debbie, for adding to the chat. You can scan the QR code on the screen. You can click on the chat that was added on, on the link that was added to our chat, so that you can be part of this group. Any questions that you have, you can send me a flip recording. Just like you remember that with the beauty of flip, if you don't want to show your beautiful faces on this video, remember that we have the audio option on our flip camera. So that you can record yourself asking a questions in case you have a specific question about what we're going to talk about in today's class. So the link is on the chat and it's also on the screen. And if you need us to add the link again, just let us know. Por favorcito, feel free to ask questions. Remember last class, we talked about this PD session being a cafecito, a conversation among friends. So just relax, it's the end of the day. Feel free to ask any questions. Either you send them on the chat or you're more than welcome to open your mics. For today's session, we are in the process of We talk about this strategy last class, that the format that we're gonna follow is the I do, we do, you do. So for today's class, we're in the section of We Do. So we are gonna be looking into prompting, right? We talk about prompting in our previous conversation, but we also talk about Copilot. Why Copilot, and what does Copilot bring into the game? So just remember that there are 5, we can find Copilot. The Copilot that I'm showing you is completely free. We don't have to pay for it. So these are the 5 places where we can find Copilot for free. You can go to from any web browser. You can go to copilot.microsoft.com. If you're using the Microsoft Edge browser, then you will be able to find it as part of the Microsoft Edge browser on the sidebar. So I highly recommend I know it works, obviously, if you have a Windows computer. You can Microsoft Edge is already installed. If you have a Mac computer, you can go into your App Store and download Microsoft Edge. The app is free. You download it to your Mac and it works beautifully. And also, last class, thank you, Ms. Munoz, for downloading the app into your phone. We talk about our apps on our mobile devices. It's available on the iOS device and also on the Android on the Google Play. So you can also download the app, because for next class we have an activity or how we are going to be using our phone. Again, if you have a Windows computer, Microsoft Copilot is part of Windows 11. And also there's another site, bing.com / chat. And this one will take you to the exact same place as copilot.microsoft.com. The reason why we have it as Bing is because remember that Copilot was previously known as Bing, and just Microsoft decided to call it Copilot, which you know how happy and obsessed I am with the name, because Copilot is about being that person or that best friend next to you, helping you with what you are already doing in the classroom. So remember that Copilot will be complementing what the amazing things that you already do in the classroom. It's Copilot. It is not autopilot or pilot. I am the expert. I am the one who knows my students. I'm the one who establishes relationships with my students. And through data analysis, right, maybe through DMAC, if you use DMAC, you're able to understand the data with relationships, or knowing your kids, knowing the data from your students is also super important. And we're going to talk about that in today's class. So the first activity that I have for you today is just a quick 1-minute activity. If you can please open Microsoft Copilot, you can open a different tab on whatever browser you are using and go to copilot.microsoft.com. And if you will be please so kind to type this prompt that we have on the screen. So what I'm asking you to do right here is to type the following prompt: create a 15-minute lesson plan for, and then you fill out the blank or whatever grade level you teach, for the specific subject or subjects that you teach. So if you can do this for me, por favor, I'm gonna start my timer. I think with 2 minutes will be more than enough time. So if you can type, please, this prompt on Copilot and see what Copilot does for you. Thank you, David. Thank you for adding the prompt on our chat. So let's see what Copilot does. Awesome. So time's up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Munoz. Thank you, Debbie, for adding your findings. What Copilot. Thank you, Valentina, as well. And so, what do you see? What did you see? What do you think? And what do you wonder? What did you see about Copilot creating this lesson plan? If you can add on the chat, or you're more than welcome to open your mics so we can have a discussion for 1 minute.
It separated different parts of the activities by minutes, making it the 15-minute total. And that was very interesting. And they provided different activities at the same time, with a warm-up and then 3 activities and a conclusion.
Thank you, Valentin. Thank you. Excellent point. And I can tell you that from one day to the other, Copilot is only getting better and better, because I've been using it for a while and creating lesson planning, creating ideas for the classroom. And every time I ask or I create a prompt on how to guide Copilot in order for Copilot to help me create something for my students, it's getting more detail and more information. So I know, Ms. Munoz, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
I like how fast it created for you. Like, it's just in the minutes, you read it very quickly. If it's not something you were looking for, because maybe you have more specific idea. I like how at the end it says, how can I make this lesson more interactive? Do you have any assessments, ideas on this topic? What are some landforms games? Like, because I asked for landforms, right? So I like how it gives you more option and it's super fast. Like, it takes, you don't need, what's it called? you can create all these lessons very quickly, which it gives you time to prepare them. Because a lot of the times teacher requests, I'm a fourth grade teacher and I request sometimes like planning time. And that planning time, one day is not enough because one day it's just to create the idea and the other day is to make everything happen, make the copies, collect the materials, and that helps a lot.
Amazing. Thank you, Ms. Munoz. Thank you for participating. Yes, and we're always, as teachers, we're super busy, right? We're always fighting against time. Like we have so many things to do. And one of the beautiful things about Copilot is that how fast it works. And but the prompt that we used for this specific activity is very it's actually something straight into the point, right? So I'm asking Copilot to create a 15-minute lesson plan for a specific grade level for the subject. Now, in our previous session, we talk about prompting, and we also talk about how specific or how important it is for us to be as specific as possible when we're asking Copilot or any other chatbot, any other Gen AI, when we're asking for something. So now that we see Copilot in action, I want you to look at this next slide that I have for you, because I am sharing now with you this prompt. Different, right? Quite different from the previous one about creating a 15-minute lesson plan. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds, por favor, 30 seconds, please, just to read the prompt. And after the 30 seconds, we're going to talk about what do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, my friends, what do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder? What can you tell me about this prompt that we didn't see in the previous one? Or what do you think? Very specific. Thank you, Valentin. Very good. Very good. What grade level do I teach? Lots of details. Yes. 8th grade. Excellent. Excellent. Very specific and asking for different activities. Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Mendez. Thank you, Valentin. Thank you, Ms. Munoz. And it asks for the standard 8.5C, but this does it know it's for Texas? Okay, excellent. Excellent points right here, Valentin. Excellent points. And going back to what Valentin is saying right here, I'm the expert, right? So I'm the one who's going to go over what Copilot is going to create for me, right? So the prompt is develop a comprehensive lesson plan presented in a table format, right? So I'm asking for the specific format that I need to see, utilizing the 5E instructional model, right? As a science teacher, I love to use the 5E instructional model. So I'm bringing it as part of my prompt. It can be the 5E instructional model. It can be the shelter instruction model, right? For those of you who are bilingual teachers like me, shelter instruction is one of my favorite models to use for language acquisition. So I can definitely replace 5E instructional model and bring the shelter instructional model right here for the specific lesson plan. I know my kids. I'm the expert. I'm the one designing these for the learning opportunities that I'm going to have in the classroom. So I want to effectively teach 8th grade students. So remember, we talk about audience, being very specific with the audience, so that students interpret the arrangement of the periodic table. I, as 8th grade science teacher, I know that this is part of my student expectation. I know the student expectation that tested or that talks about the periodic table is 8.5C, so that I was very selective with the student expectation. And when I was creating the prompt, I took everything that I know as the teacher, as the expert, I know into account, right? The lesson should specifically address the understanding of the groups and periods. I know that groups and periods, my students in 8th grade need to understand that. And I also know that that's going to be tested on the START test. So I want that to be included as part of my lesson plan. Also, while also explaining how properties are employed to classify elements, aligning with readiness standard 8.5C. So I, again, remember, I'm the pilot, and we talked about it last class. I'm the pilot. Copilot is complementing what I'm already doing in the classroom, but I'm the one who knows my kids, who knows the student expectation, and who also knows the type of assessment that my students, or the state assessment that my students are going to be taking almost towards the end of the school year. Now, I'm also saying, right, the lesson plan should incorporate hands-on activities, right, because I want my students to be engaged. And I also want to be very specific that I only have 55 minutes in this class. And additionally, I want to integrate the Project Zero thinking routines. Why thinking routines? If you're not familiar with thinking routines, I highly recommend that. These are excellent for every student, but again, for language acquisition, I highly recommend it. So I'm being very specific on what I want Copilot to do. I created this prompt myself, right? Because I'm the expert, I'm the science teacher, I know my data, I know my students. So as a result, I created this very specific prompt that is going to go into Copilot. We're gonna see it right here. So I opened my browser, I went into copilot.microsoft.com. I, most of the time, find myself working in this conversation style, more creative. Remember that we also have more balance and more precise. When I personally create lesson plans, I spend most of my time using more creative. More balance is just like the word says, is you're going to get more balanced information. When I'm creating emails that I need to send to coworkers in Microsoft, or a specific email straight into the point, then I go into more precise. But that's something that I personally do. Again, I find myself spending most of my time when creating or talking about lesson plans in the more creative conversation style, right? So it's the purple one. I clicked on it. All I did, my friends, is I pasted the right here, the prompt that I showed you on our presentation. Here it is. So all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click right here on submit, and let's see what Copilot does. So while Copilot will let it think, and if I'm not at home, so I hope that Wi-Fi works. Yes, it's working. The Wi-Fi is working perfectly here. So Copilot is doing what I ask. So look at that. It's giving me the phases of the 5E instructional model, right? If you're familiar with it, you know there are different phases as part of the instructional of this 5E instructional model. So it's giving me the table. I asked for a table, so it's giving me the phase, the activity, the time that I need to spend on that activity, the materials that I'm going to need, and the thinking routine that I can use for that specific activity, for that specific phase, right, of the 5E instructional model. Then it goes into explore. It gives me the activity, the time, the materials that I'm going to need, and also the thinking routine. And then it goes into explain, extend, and evaluate, right? And once again, I'm the teacher. I know what's the best thing for my students. The beautiful thing right here is that it's also suggesting hands-on activities that I can use with my students. The alignment with reading standards, right? The more we use Copilot, the more aligned it's going to be to the reading standards, right, that we are adding as part of the prompt. Remember, you're the pilot. Copilot is just complementing what you do. And the integration of the thinking routines, right? And remember that also I can continue the conversation with Copilot, because Copilot automatically generates these questions or these prompts so that I can continue the conversation with Copilot. Remember that also Copilot gives you the sites, right, or the specific website where it got the info from. So right here, if you add this prompt into Copilot, or if you look for thinking routines, it'll take you to the main website where you can find all the information about thinking routines and learn more in case you don't use them in your classroom yet. So here it is. So I am going to look at it. I, as the teacher, have the ability right here on this arrow pointing at the export option. I can click right here and I can transfer, right? I can send this information to a Word document where I can send it and maybe edit the lesson plan. Once again, I know my kids. I'm the one cool is I'm going to click right here on view so that you all can see it in the Word document. So this is where I can make some changes if I need to do so. Maybe instead of 5, maybe this lesson plan works for my first period class, but maybe my second period needs more time in engaging, right? Maybe my second period needs 10 minutes, right? So I know my kids, I know that creating a lesson plan for all of my classes, it goes different with my first period than with my fourth period or my fifth period and so on and so forth, especially when we know our data and we know our students. So I'm able to transfer the information right here to a Word document and make some edits if I need to do so. But right away, it was super quick, right? And very interesting information based on what I, as the teacher, ask for this specific prompt. I'm going to go back to the presentation so that you can see it right here. Any questions before I go into the next slide? What do you all think? What do you think? What do you see? What do you wonder? And also, don't forget to register. Debbie added the link, the registration link on our chat. Okay, awesome. Okay, we don't have any questions.
Okay, no, real quick. I think that the more specific that we are, the better it comes out. And I know we have tried it, like we ask a question and it's not what we wanted, so we change the wording, we add here, delete here, and it gives us like what we're looking for. And I think that that's really awesome because it's done in the moment. Like I don't have to wait. I don't have to plan another day. I just delete that word. It's not I don't know, percent, maybe it's identify, and so it will give me something different. So that's very, very cool that we're able to do it right away.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Excellent point. And it's fast, it's to the point, and it is based on what we ask, right, as part of the prompt. Because remember, we're the prompt engineers. And I know in our previous session, your amazing district, like, and this beautiful team came up with a very nice infographic, right, of an acronym that you can use when you are creating these type of prompts when you are working for and with your students. So really quick, I'm gonna go to the next slide so that you can see. So I created the lesson plan, right? I created the prompt. Copilot helped me create the lesson plan. Once I have the lesson plan and it is where it needs to be, I was like, okay, this is perfect. The 5E model is there. But if you can see right here, I'm going to go back to what Copilot said. Copilot did not include an assessment, right? And I didn't specify for it to create an assessment as part of my first prompt. And I'm going to go back to what Ms. Mendez was saying, right? I can continue with the conversation with Copilot based on this prompt, and I can go back and ask Copilot for an assessment. And that's exactly what I did, my friends. But I want to show you the way I did it, right? So in this next slide, oops, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide. There we go. So here you already saw Copilot in action, but I'm still adding it to the presentation so that you can have the video as well. But again, when we talk about assessments, beautiful, I have the lesson plan. The lesson plan, I was able to transfer it or to send it to Word, maybe to edit, to add, to change the time, and so on and so forth. But as part of my first prompt, I didn't ask Copilot to create an assessment for me. That's the next prompt I have right here on the screen, and I'm about to ask Copilot to do. So this is what I did, right? I know that my students are going to be tested with the START test. So the more I practice in my classroom, in my everyday instruction, the better prepared my students are going to be. So in this case, this is the prompt that I used with Copilot as part of this lesson plan. So this is what I asked. Create a 5 multiple choice question assessment based on the understanding of groups and periods. I'm still teaching the same student expectation. I know how my students are going to be tested on the START test. I know I'm very familiar with the test. And again, I establish relationships with my students. I know what my students need, right? So right here, I'm asking Copilot to create 5 multiple choice questions that talk for my students to assess, right, the understanding of groups and periods, while also explaining how properties are employed to classify elements. And I'm not letting go of the student expectation that I had in my first prompt, right? I'm continuing the conversation with Copilot. But the last sentence is key for me right here, because I'm asking Copilot that these questions that Copilot is about to create need to be similar to the questions asked on the START 8th grade science test. So this is what I sent. This is the prompt that I created. And what you see on the screen, I included pictures right here of what Copilot answered for me. It created these 5 questions that are very similar to the release tests that are available on the TEA website. And it takes me to the question of Ms. Munoz that she wonders about copyright. Remember that Copilot is based on what's on the web, right? So we know that TEA has a website with release exams. So when I ask this question, when I ask this prompt, Copilot is getting info from there so that it designs the questions that I'm asking for, because these questions, I'm asking for them to be similar, right, to the 8th grade START test. So this is what it did. I looked at it. Again, I'm the expert, but I also asked for feedback from other science teachers, and I asked, what do you think about these questions? I got excellent feedback. I would love to know what you all think about these questions. But guess what, my friends? I know as an 8th grade science teacher that now the START test is not only about multiple choice, it also has new item types, right? It also has different type of questions besides the multiple choice. So I went ahead, I went back to Copilot and I continued my conversation. I asked Copilot, now I want you to create 2 multiple select questions and one constructive response question based on the understanding of groups and periods. Again, I'm not letting go of the student expectation. It is the same conversation I'm having with Copilot since I asked for the first lesson plan. And now I'm bringing my expertise about the START test. I know how it's going to look like. So these questions, again, need to be similar to the questions asked on the START test, 8th grade science test. And this is what Copilot did for me. So I know as an expert, and I know as I know my students, I read the questions, I selected the best question for my student, and I took it one step ahead. Why? Because I want my students to learn, but I also want them to have fun. So I am going to bring my student expectation. I'm going to bring my question, START aligned, but I am going to send it into a flip topic, which is exactly what we are going to talk about next class. I know we are at time, and I see comments. I can take care of the comments or questions on the chat, but Debbie, back to you, my friend.
Thank you so much for all that information, Fely. Like, this is our personal assistant now. I tell everybody, you know, now teachers have a personal assistant, which we've always wanted. So I know we had a question from John about copying, or can you take a high-end test question and change it for differentiation? And Valentine kind of addressed that. So yes, you can.
Definitely. Yes. Can I take a high-end test question? Yes, and change it. Okay, I see it now. I see. Yes, differentiation. I mean, I can talk about differentiation all day, right? I asked Copilot to create sentence stems. I created a flip topic, right, with the question, but then I wanted Copilot to help me create sentence stems, right, a type of differentiation for my English language acquisition students. So these sentence stems were available for my students on this topic, on this flip topic, so that they could use where they were answering their questions. Excellent point about differentiation. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, perfect way to use AI.
Bye.